Let us create basic materials in VRay. I'm going to start with an infinite plane and lock it. I'm adding a couple of objects to it, a basic box and a sphere. Let's zoom in and let's render the objects as they are for the moment. Now instead of going to the material library and choosing something, I'm going into add material and taking a basic generic material. I can right click and rename it to box. Keeping the box selected, I'm going to say apply to selection. I'll keep progressive off and interactive on, and now I render it, and you can see that the gray color of generic material is now reflected on the box. If I go to quick settings of this generic material, I can go into the detail, but we'll see it later. Within quick settings, the moment I change the diffuse color, I can see that it is getting reflected on the object in the VRay frame buffer or VFB. You can see that the noise is getting lowered and lowered throughout the image. But we did not need to have the white space rendered again and again. Hence, I'm going to be using the region render to choose an area that I can render. So now when I change the color in diffuse, I'll see that only this part is getting rendered and the white area is not unnecessarily getting rendered again. Let's choose a color for our box. Now what if I do not want only a blue color to the box, but I want an image on this object? So that I need to click on this particular icon besides color, and I get a lot of texture options here. It could be, for example, a 2D texture, but right now I want a bitmap texture. So I click on bitmap. It allows me to go and choose an image. I can choose any image I have saved, or if I want it from the VRay options, I can go into C drive where I have installed VRay, program files, chaos group, VRay for Rhino 6, materials, and let's say I want a brick texture. I can go into this maps and I can choose one of the images to be used on the box. If I take this particular image, bricks A, you will see that it is getting reflected on the box. If I turn off the checkbox, then the blue color only will be shown. I turn on the checkbox and only the texture will be shown. Now what if I want to modify this texture? I don't want the horizontal to be so big. So I go back into this bitmap, go into texture placement, and within the repeat, for the U, I say 2 times. You'll see that horizontally the bricks have become smaller. They have become smaller because for this particular surface area, the same image was repeated 2 times. If I did the same thing for V, then even in the vertical direction, it will be repeated 2 times. Let's keep it back to 1. Then there is something called as offset. If I say 0.15, observe this point. I'm pressing tab and you will see that that brick has shifted in the horizontal direction. I press tab again and it has come back to place. Similarly in the V direction. You may not realize the difference in the V right now. So what we'll do is we'll take a region render and let me make the offset by 0.15. Can you see the offset? You also have the option of rotating your textures and then tiling it. If the image size is smaller, you'll get the grayish area on the remaining portion. If I happen to mirror it in the U direction, you'll see the same thing getting repeated 2 times, and hence the image texture becomes smaller and smaller. Double-sided is used when I want the front and the back faces to have different UVs. Right now it is not going to be practical because I have a closed poly surface here. So this is how we can create a simple color or a texture on an object. Now what if I want to make it look slightly more realistic? So I'm going to take a copy of this box. And within VRay, I'm going to duplicate it by right clicking on it and I'm going to name it box bump. Let me apply box bump to this object. Currently, you will not see the difference between the two because I haven't made any changes. However, now we'll go to quick settings. I'll scroll down. I'm going to redo this texture on bump. Click on the texture icon. I'm going to take this black and white brick A underscore bump image, which is very similar to that earlier one. It's just that it is in grayscale. Do not forget to use the same texture placement on the bricks. If I turn off the diffuse texture, you'll see on the blue color how it has been engraved and embossed on the object. You can see that the bricks are embossed whereas the concrete is engraved within the object. This gives us a realistic depth to that brick material. We can increase the bump for a better output. Now you can see the difference between the original brick and now the brick bump. It gives an illusion of depth within it. Let us now look at how we can create a reflective material. To do that, let's use the sphere. I'm going into the material list. I'm creating a new generic material and renaming it to chrome. We will apply the material to the sphere. In quick settings, I'm making the diffuse color to black and I'm increasing the reflection to white. You can see that the object is now reflecting the environment as well as the objects besides it. If I wanted to have a better reflection, I have to increase the IOR. It makes it highly reflective. If I want to give this a different color, then the darkest color that I want to see on the metal should be placed in diffuse. For example, in case of gold, I'll place this color in diffuse and the lightest color that I want reflected on it, I'm going to place in the reflection filter. This is how we can create gold metal objects. If I decrease the reflection glossiness, the same object turns matte. Let me make it to 1 again. Let's add a bump to this. I'm taking a 2D texture like checkers. I'll repeat it maybe 3 times. And now we have got a reflective material with a bump effect on it.